Lily was no ordinary rancher's daughter. With her sun-kissed hair and bright green eyes, she often dreamed of adventures far beyond the borders of her family's sprawling ranch. Each morning, she would rise with the sun, her heart racing with the excitement of what the day might bring. While chores awaited, her thoughts often wandered to the distant mountains and open fields that called to her like a siren song. At 16, Lily had already learned the ropes of ranch life. She could ride horses with the best and knew how to herd cattle like a pro. Yet, there was more to her than just being a dutiful daughter. She longed for a taste of freedom, for a chance to explore the world outside the familiar pastures where she spent her days. The idea of venturing into the woods, climbing up rocky hills, and chasing sunsets made her heart soar. Her father, a tough but loving man, often warned her about the dangers outside their ranch. "Stay close to home, Lily," he would say, his voice full of concern. "The world can be unpredictable." But instead of listening, she felt a spark of rebellion ignite within her. She didn't want to be confined by tradition or expectations, she wanted to discover who she truly was. Every day after completing her chores, she would sneak away to a hidden glen at the edge of their property. There, she would dream and imagine herself as a brave explorer. Surrounded by wildflowers and tall grasses, she felt alive. She would often sketch in her notebook, capturing her dreams of distant lands and the adventures that awaited her. Little did Lily know that her life was about to change in ways she never could have imagined. Her spirit and determination would soon lead her to a surprising encounter that would challenge everything she thought she knew about love and loyalty. Adventure was just around the corner, waiting for her to embrace it. The sun was high in the sky, casting long shadows over the two neighboring ranches, each representing years of hard work and fierce pride. Lily's family, the Parkers, had been ranching for generations, nurturing their land with a dedication that was rivaled only by their neighbors, the Jacobs. For as long as anyone could remember, the two families had been locked in a bitter rivalry that seemed to grow deeper with each passing season. The tension between the Parkers and the Jacobs wasn't just about cattle or land, it infused every interaction, from community events to local markets. The two families were known to compete fiercely in rodeos, often sabotaging each other's chances whenever they could. It became a point of pride to outshine the other, with both families trying to prove their superiority. Whispers of feuds echoed through town, planting seeds of discord among their friends and neighbors. This rivalry affected not only the adults but also the children. While Lily often found herself daydreaming about adventure, she also felt the weight of her family's expectations. Her childhood friend, a boy from the Jacobs family named Tommy, would occasionally cross paths with her during school or town gatherings. Their conversations were always laced with playful jabs and teasing remarks about family loyalties. The air between them crackled with a mix of rivalry and unspoken understanding. Despite the competition, there were moments when Lily couldn't help but admire some aspects of the Jacobs ranch. They had impressive horses and developed innovative techniques that kept their farm thriving. Such thoughts made her curious about their way of life but also filled her with confusion about her own loyalty. Whenever she ventured into town, she sensed the unspoken rules: Parkers stuck with Parkers, Jacobs with Jacobs. The line drawn between them felt like a wall she yearned to overcome, especially as she dreamed about exploring new possibilities beyond her father's expectations and the bitter feud that defined her world. Little did she know that soon enough, she would find herself at the very center of this rivalry in ways she never thought possible. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the Jacobs ranch, a figure moved between the paddocks. Jake was not what most would expect of a worker at the rival ranch. With tousled dark hair and gentle brown eyes, he often found himself in the shadows of his more boisterous family members. While Lily's family was known for their fierce spirit, Jake carried a quiet kindness that sometimes went unnoticed. Jake had grown up alongside Tommy, Lily's childhood rival and friend, but he often felt like an outsider within his own family. The Jacobs were proud and competitive, always pushing him to excel and assert their dominance over the Parkers. However, Jake's heart lay elsewhere. He had an innate love for animals and a strong desire to help those in need. Most days, when not working on the ranch, he volunteered at the local shelter or helped neighbors with their chores. His compassion didn't go unnoticed by those around him, but it sometimes made him seem weak to his family. They saw strength as victory in competition rather than kindness. Despite this conflict, Jake remained devoted to his family's ranch, taking pride in its success while secretly wishing for moments of connection with others, even those from rival families. One fateful day, Jake was repairing a fence near the boundary line between the Jacobs and Parkers farms when he unexpectedly spotted Lily wandering close by. He recognized her from town but knew better than to approach her directly. As she giggled and twirled through the wildflowers, he felt a tug at his heartstrings. She was so carefree and full of life, a stark contrast to the rigid expectations both families imposed on them. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, Jake found himself drawn to her laughter. He stayed hidden yet fascinated, realizing that beneath the rivalry lay a shared humanity he longed to connect with. Little did he know that this chance encounter would set into motion events that would change both their lives forever. The annual county fair was in full swing, alive with laughter, music, and the delicious smell of funnel cakes wafting through the air. Families from both the Parker and Jacobs ranches gathered to celebrate, but the underlying tension between them was palpable. As Lily wandered through the bustling crowd, her heart raced at the thought of seeing something new beyond her usual routine. Amidst the excitement, a sudden announcement came over the loudspeaker. "We need volunteers for the hay bale stacking contest. Come join us." It was a challenge that required teamwork, and to Lily's surprise, she felt a surge of energy. She hoped it would be an opportunity to break away from her family's expectations and have some fun. As she approached the area designated for the contest, she spotted Jake standing on the other side. He looked just as surprised to see her. Their eyes met briefly before Jake shrugged off his initial shock, stepping forward with a friendly smile. "Looks like we're stuck together," he said playfully, gesturing toward the bales piled high beside them. Lily chuckled nervously but felt an unexpected thrill at working alongside him. "I guess we are," she replied, trying to shake off any lingering rivalry that had colored their families' histories. Together, they began lifting bales and stacking them into neat towers while exchanging light-hearted banter about their family's competitive spirits. With every laugh shared and each bale stacked high, they discovered how easy it was to connect despite their backgrounds. Jake shared funny stories about his childhood on the Jacobs ranch, while Lily revealed her dreams of adventure and freedom. The more they talked, the more their differences faded away. As they finished stacking their last bale, cheers erupted from the crowd celebrating their teamwork. With rosy cheeks and bright smiles, they found themselves leaning closer together amid all the excitement. In that moment of laughter and camaraderie, both Lily and Jake realized they were no longer just rivals, they were two young souls discovering a bond that could change everything. After their successful hay bale stacking contest, the bond between Lily and Jake grew stronger with each passing day. They found ways to meet during the fair, sneaking moments to talk amidst the vibrant festivities. The laughter they shared during the contest had broken the ice, making it easier for them to forget their family's rivalry. As they explored the fair together, they discovered common interests that surprised them both. Jake was an excellent storyteller, captivating Lily with tales of his escapades around the Jacobs ranch. He spoke of mischievous animals and unexpected adventures that brought a smile to her face. In return, Lily shared her dreams of exploring distant mountains and chasing sunsets, igniting a spark in Jake's heart. He admired her adventurous spirit and found himself wishing he could experience those wonders alongside her. One afternoon, after the fair ended, they decided to venture into a nearby field away from prying eyes. The sun hung low in the sky, painting everything in soft shades of orange and pink. As they wandered through the tall grass, Jake picked wildflowers and playfully wove them into a crown for Lily. She laughed at his silliness, feeling lighter than she ever had before. With each moment spent together, their initial animosity transformed into genuine friendship. They began to confide in one another about their fears and dreams. Jake opened up about feeling out of place in his family and how he longed for acceptance beyond competition. Lily shared her struggles with expectations that confined her spirit. Their shared experiences deepened their respect for one another. They realized that despite their family's rivalry, they were both searching for connection and understanding in a world that often felt divided. As summer continued to unfold, so did their friendship, blossoming like the wildflowers Jake had picked for Lily. Each day brought new adventures, laughter, and a growing affection that neither one had anticipated but both secretly desired. As summer settled into its warm embrace, challenges began to arise that tested the newly formed friendship between Lily and Jake. One afternoon, as they were enjoying a picnic by the river, word spread through the valley that a pack of wild coyotes had been spotted near both ranches. The animals posed a threat not only to the livestock but also to the safety of their families. Though their families were rivals, Lily and Jake knew they couldn't let pride stand in the way of protecting what mattered most. They quickly devised a plan, knowing they would need to work together. Gathering supplies, they met at the boundary line between their ranches, where they could keep an eye on any approaching danger. With a mix of determination and excitement, they set up makeshift barriers and devised strategies to deter the coyotes. As night fell, they took turns watching over the fields, blending their fears with newfound courage. It was during those quiet moments under the stars that their bond deepened even further. They shared stories of childhood fears, dreams of peaceful coexistence between their families, and how they wished there was less conflict in their lives. Just as dawn broke one morning, the sound of barking echoed through the air. The coyotes had arrived. Without hesitation, Lily and Jake sprang into action, using flashlights and noise to scare the animals away from the livestock. Together they shouted and waved their arms, combining their efforts to protect both families' livelihoods. After successfully warding off the threat, they collapsed in laughter amidst the tall grass, adrenaline still pumping through their veins. This experience had cemented something deeper than friendship. They were now partners in courage and protectors of their families. As days turned into weeks, more challenges emerged. A sudden summer storm threatened to flood both ranches, requiring them to work side by side again as they moved animals to higher ground and reinforced fences. Each challenge brought them closer together, teaching them that united they were stronger against any adversities life threw their way. With each success, Lily and Jake started to dream not just of overcoming challenges but of a future where their families could stand together rather than apart. As the sun began to set in a blaze of colors, Lily found herself wandering toward their special spot, the glen where she and Jake had spent so many carefree afternoons. The warm breeze swirled around her, carrying the scent of wildflowers and memories of laughter that echoed in her heart. Yet today felt different. An elusive feeling tugged at her chest, one she hadn't quite named before. Jake had been a constant presence in her life lately, from their playful competitions to their shared plans for both ranches. As she recalled long nights they spent watching the stars and talking about their dreams, Lily couldn't shake off a new feeling blossoming within her. Sitting under the shade of a massive oak tree, she replayed the moments they'd shared, how his eyes sparkled when he talked, how his laughter seemed to light up even the darkest corners of her heart. She remembered a day not too long ago when they helped move cattle during a summer storm. As she turned to check on him, drenched but smiling, an unexpected warmth filled her, making it hard to breathe. "What is happening?" she thought as she clutched her heart, trying to push those thoughts aside. But they wouldn't go away. Suddenly, Jake appeared in the distance, covered in sweat but looking happy as he approached with a bouquet of wildflowers he had picked just for her. "I thought you might like these," he said, his voice soft and genuine. As he handed her the flowers, their hands brushed against each other, sending a spark through her body that made her pulse quicken. In that instant, it hit her, she had feelings for Jake that went beyond friendship. Panic surged through her as reality set in. This complicated everything between them, the rivalry between their families loomed like a dark cloud overhead. Could she truly forgive what generations of bitterness had created? As she looked into Jake's kind brown eyes, uncertainty clouded her thoughts, but deep down, she knew one thing: this connection felt real and worth exploring, even if it meant facing challenges and difficult choices ahead. For now, surrounded by the beauty of the glen and the comforting presence of Jake, Lily resolved to embrace these newfound feelings no matter what lay ahead. The night sky was a blanket of twinkling stars as Lily and Jake found themselves once again in their special glen, the air filled with the sweet scent of wildflowers. They had spent the evening reminiscing about their shared adventures and dreams, laughter bubbling between them like a flowing stream. But tonight felt different, the atmosphere crackled with a hint of anticipation. As they sat under the vast expanse of stars, an unspoken tension began to rise. Jake cleared his throat, glancing sideways at Lily, who was gazing up at the constellations. "You know," he began hesitantly, "there's something I've been meaning to tell you." Lily turned her attention to him, her heart racing. The warmth from earlier seemed to swell in the pit of her stomach as she felt the weight of his words hang in the air between them. "I've never felt this way about anyone before," Jake confessed, his voice steady but vulnerable. "Every moment we spend together reminds me how wonderful life can be beyond all this rivalry." He paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. "I care about you, Lily, more than I ever thought I could care for someone from your family." Her heart fluttered at his admission, but fear tangled with her emotions. What would happen if their families found out? She pulled her gaze away from him, trying to sort through the whirlwind of feelings and complications. "Jake," she said softly, searching for the right words. "This is also complicated. Our families." He reached out and gently took her hand. "I know what our families think of each other," he interrupted gently. "But I don't want that to stop us. You mean so much to me. I can't help how I feel." Looking into his eyes, Lily saw sincerity and vulnerability reflected back at her. She felt a mix of excitement and fear surge through her like lightning. For a brief moment, it felt like they were alone in their own little world, untouched by the rivalry surrounding them. "I care about you too," she admitted finally, feeling lighter as she let those words flow out. It was both thrilling and terrifying to acknowledge what had blossomed between them. In that moment under the shimmering stars, they shared not only their fears but also their hopes for what their connection might mean beyond family feuds, a bond that could transcend anything that had come before it. The summer evening was heavy with tension as Lily and Jake met secretly at their glen, blissfully unaware that their families were growing suspicious of their time together. Just a few days earlier, a storm had swept through, and while they had been helping each other at the ranches, rumors began to swirl through the valley. The impending confrontation loomed like dark clouds on the horizon. Lily felt a chill in the air as she and Jake shared quiet laughter under the stars. Suddenly, a rustle in the bushes shattered the moment. Before they could react, Lily's father, along with Jake's older brother Tommy, emerged from the shadows, anger shining in their eyes. "What is going on here?" her father demanded, his voice thick with disbelief. Jake instinctively stepped closer to Lily, protectively blocking her from view. "We were just talking," he said carefully, trying to defuse the situation. But they both knew it was too late for that. "You think you can just forget about our family's feud?" Tommy spat, his voice rising. "You're playing with fire by being here together." Lily's heart raced as she looked between the two men standing before them. "We're not enemies. We're just trying to find our own way," she pleaded, but her voice trembled with uncertainty. "Your way?" "This is a betrayal," her father bellowed, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. "You've been raised to uphold our family's honor. You know what it means to be a Parker." Jake's jaw tightened as he faced Tommy and Lily's father. "And what about love? Shouldn't that matter more than any family feud?" His words hung in the air like a challenge. Lily took a deep breath, feeling both fear and resolve swelling inside her. "I care about Jake," she declared boldly. "And I believe we can change things if we try. Our families don't have to define us." The silence that followed was thick with disbelief. Both fathers exchanged glances filled with frustration and confusion over their children's daring declarations. As the reality of their feelings settled in, the confrontation tested not only their love for each other but also set them on a path filled with difficult choices. Would they stand up for what they felt was right against generations of rivalry? Or would they succumb to family pressures and let fear dictate their future? In that moment, both Lily and Jake realized that true love would require bravery, and perhaps sacrifice, if they wanted to bridge the divide between their families once and for all. After the confrontation with their families, Lily and Jake knew they had to take action if they wanted to change the narrative that had defined their lives for far too long. They decided that the only way to bridge the gap between the Parkers and the Jacobs was to demonstrate the power of unity and cooperation. The annual Harvest Festival was just around the corner, an event where both families would traditionally showcase their best produce and livestock. This year, Lily and Jake hatched a plan to work together on a joint exhibit that would celebrate both ranches. They believed that by highlighting their strengths as a combined effort, they could show everyone that love and collaboration could overcome old grudges. As the festival approached, Lily and Jake spent countless hours preparing their exhibit. They worked side by side, planting flowers, stacking hay bales, and crafting signs that displayed messages of peace and friendship. With every laugh shared and every obstacle tackled, their bond grew even stronger. On the day of the harvest festival, a palpable tension hung in the air when both families arrived. Whispers filled the space as attendees from both sides eyed each other cautiously. But when Lily and Jake unveiled their joint exhibit, a stunning display that showcased a blend of produce from both ranches, people stopped in their tracks. "This is amazing," someone exclaimed as onlookers began to gather around. The colors of vibrant fruits and vegetables complemented each other beautifully, symbolizing harmony rather than rivalry. As people admired their work, Jake took Lily's hand in his, standing proudly beside her. "Look at what we've accomplished together," he said quietly but confidently. Slowly but surely, members from both families began to smile and interact with one another as they admired the display. Old grudges started fading into memories as laughter broke through decades of silence. As the festival continued, it became clear that something had shifted in the hearts of those present. Families who had spent years avoiding one another began to mingle and chat, recalling shared experiences from days long past. By the end of the day, Lily and Jake stood hand in hand among friends and family who were beginning to see each other anew. They realized they were no longer just two individuals caught in a rivalry. They were catalysts for change, showing that love could indeed conquer all barriers if people were willing to open their hearts. In this moment, they understood that not only had they deepened their connection with each other, but they had also sparked hope for a brighter future between their families. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden light over the valley, a sense of celebration filled the air. The Parkers and Jacobs gathered in a field between their ranches for a historic evening, a joint celebration that symbolized their newfound unity. Colorful banners adorned the trees, and tables overflowed with dishes prepared by both families, representing the best of their culinary traditions. Lily and Jake stood side by side, their hands intertwined as they watched family members mingle and smile at one another. It was a sight they had only dreamt of, where laughter replaced whispers and warmth replaced animosity. The once divided community was coming together, united by the courage Lily and Jake had shown in pursuing their feelings for each other. "Can you believe this is happening?" Jake asked, his voice filled with awe as he looked around at the cheerful faces. Lily smiled brightly, her heart swelling with hope. "It feels like a dream," she replied. "I never imagined our families would be celebrating together like this." As the festivities kicked off, games were played, dances were shared, and stories flowed freely among neighbors who had long avoided each other. With every laugh echoed through the warm summer night, Lily felt reassured that both families could overcome their pasts. As the night progressed, a bonfire crackled to life at the center of the gathering, inviting everyone to share their thoughts and dreams. Lily stepped forward to speak. With Jake beside her, she expressed gratitude for everyone's willingness to come together. "This is just the beginning," she said confidently. "If we can unite for this moment, imagine what we can accomplish together in the future." Her words resonated across the crowd as nods of agreement spread among family members. It was clear that old rivalries were starting to fade away like embers in the fire. Later in the evening, as music danced through the air, Jake leaned closer to Lily under the stars. He whispered, "I'm excited to see what our future holds." With hope shining brightly in her heart and love illuminating her path forward, Lily squeezed Jake's hand tighter. Together they faced a new beginning, one built on trust, acceptance, and an unwavering commitment to each other that would guide them as they created a brighter world for both ranches. As laughter echoed into the night sky, it was clear that love had triumphed over rivalry at last.